What's going on, everybody? It's JetsCentral coming back with my official NFL mock draft 2.0. I am extremely excited to, make this video and quite frankly, hop into the comment section after the video and talking about team fit, scheme fit, players that you guys might like, players that you think could be overrated, So cannot wait for it. But quick disclaimer before I get into the mock. In this scenario, I have quarterback Kirk Cousins signing on to the Minnesota Vikings. I really do believe Cousins is a Viking, and obviously Kirk Cousins is going to be a huge part in how this draft kind of unfolds. So, like I said in the scenario, Kirk is a Viking. So with the first pick in this draft, I have the Cleveland Browns selecting running back Saquon Barkley. Now, before you roll your eyes at, the idea of taking a running back first overall, hear me out. Saquon Barkley is the best player in the draft. Point blank period. I know he plays running back, but he is dominant. He is dominant. He is the best running back prospect we have seen in the past since Adrian Peterson. He is better than Leonard Fournette. He's better than Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, all these guys. Saquon Barkley is the real deal here. He is not only the best player in the draft, he is the safest player in the draft. He fills a need. Isaiah Crowell is going to be hitting the free agency market. Saquon Barkley comes in and is a workhorse, a three-down back. He's dominant with running. He's dominant with catching the football, in the passing game. He also is a great blocker. You can line him up and pick up blitzes with him. He is absolutely fantastic. You could also, I doubt Cleveland would do this, if he's the first overall pick, but you could also plug him in on special teams, have him return kicks. So Saquon Barkley, best player in the draft. Best player in the draft. He fills a need. I think it makes perfect sense for the Cleveland Browns at 1. There's also rumblings that Hugh Jackson prefers A.J. McCarron to every rookie quarterback in this class. He wants McCarron over everybody. So if that's the case and McCarron signs on to Cleveland, Saquon Barkley is the perfect fit. You cannot go wrong with drafting the best player in the draft. So second, I have the New York Giants going guard Quentin Nelson out of Notre Dame. Now, I know it's kind of ironic because I have the best player going to with the first pick, and then the second best player with the second pick. But in this case, Quentin Nelson, he fills a need. The minute Quentin Nelson gets drafted by the New York Giants, he becomes the best offensive lineman on the team. He's physical. He wins at the point of attack. He's a mauler. He helps in the passing game as well as the running game. He's physical. He's going to come in and bring an edge and an attitude, a toughness to this New York Giants team, which I think they kind of lack at this moment. So Quentin Nelson, I think, would be a great selection for the New York Giants. There's also growing speculation that the New York Giants are going to pass on a quarterback with the second overall pick. Dave Gettleman, Shermer, they like what they've seen in Eli Manning and Davis Webb, and they don't know if it's worth it to go after a quarterback second overall. So third, I have the Indianapolis Colts going defensive end Bradley Chubb. I know this pick is pretty much cliche because every mock draft you see, it has Bradley Chubb linked with the Colts, especially with Barkley off the board. But when you look at Bradley Chubb's body of work in college, you look at his ceiling, what he can be at the NFL level, and the need of a pass rusher in the AFC South for the Colts. You just picked Malik Hooker last season, actually one of my favorite players in the National Football League, to help out on the back end of the defense. Now you're getting a guy to rush the passer. You have to get after the Blake Bortles and the Jags. They just got to the AFC Championship last season. You have an athletic quarterback coming back from an injury in Deshaun Watson. You have to get after him. And of course, you have Marcus Mariota, Heisman Trophy winner, another athletic dual threat quarterback. You've got to be able to get after the passer in the AFC South. It's just that simple. The Colts do not have the dominant edge rusher on the team. Bradley Chubb makes perfect sense. So then at 4, I have the Cleveland Browns going quarterback Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold in this case falls to 4. I don't necessarily think Sam Darnold's the best quarterback in this draft, but I think at 4 it makes sense for the Browns to take him. I know he's kind of not sold on becoming a Cleveland Brown, but he has every tool that the Browns want: the it factor, the calmness, the size, the arm strength, and just the pocket presence. I really think that Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold will pick up Hugh Jackson's offense within a month. I really do believe that. I think they're smart quarterbacks, intellectual quarterbacks. At this spot in the draft at 4, Cleveland gets a quarterback to sit behind A.J. McCarron for maybe a year, maybe half a year if McCarron doesn't work out. Sam Darnold, you got to pick a quarterback at 4, excuse me. So at number 5, I have the Denver Broncos, of course, missing out on the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes, going quarterback Josh Rosen out of UCLA. My favorite quarterback prospect in the draft, my quarterback one. I think Rosen is the most polished quarterback in this draft. Mechanics, A plus. He has the arm strength. He has the pocket. He can hang in the pocket and go through his reads, which is rare rare in pretty much today's game from quarterbacks coming out of college. Josh Rosen to the Denver Broncos. You know, they missed out on Kirk Cousins, a franchise quarterback. Go get your guy at 5, Denver. I know you drafted Simeon. He didn't work out. I know you drafted Paxton Lynch. That's not going to work out. I know they took a flyer on Chad Kelly in the 7th round, and I have no idea what's going on with him. I mean, the Broncos drafted Osweiler in the 2nd round, and that didn't work out. So drafting a quarterback if you're Denver could be a little scary, especially if you're at 5 when you could get an impact stud. But right now, Josh Rosen he's one of my favorite quarterbacks that I've seen he is my favorite quarterback that I've seen in the past, I would say 5 seasons coming out of college. He's my number 1 guy. So go get him. The New York Jets are on the clock at 6, and I have going quarterback Baker Mayfield. Now, this pick kind of came down to Baker or Josh Allen. I like Josh Allen. Dominated the combine. He literally looked like the best quarterback out of everybody. He looked dominant at the combine. Arm strength, size, experience in a pro-style system. He's mobile. He can hang in the pocket. He can take a hit. He's durable. He's upbeat. He's going to come in and work. He's not going to come in and he doesn't have the character concerns or the love of the game concerns that maybe a Josh Rosen has. So it came down to Baker or Josh. At the end, I just really think Baker's attitude with the New York market and his accuracy. I think Baker Mayfield's accuracy gives him the leg up at 6 with the New York Jets, because you look at Jeremy Bates. You know, we all know that the Jets want Kirk Cousins, but in this case, of course, we have him going to Minnesota. Jeremy Bates, he's going to be running a West Coast system. We cannot have a quarterback back there that can't complete, that can't move the ball. We can't have a home run hitter to be the quarterback in a timing West Coast system. We need an accurate quarterback. And ironically, at 6, Baker Mayfield is there, and he's the most accurate quarterback in college football. So not only is he just accurate, but he displays a whole bunch of great qualities, not only just attitude, moxie, personality, which I think fits the Jets perfectly, but he's also mobile. He's a playmaker. He's a winner. He's confident. You know he's going to lead the guys. I've kind of thought about it in my head. He's basically going to be the Jamal Adams of the offense. That's the type of leader Baker Mayfield could be. But there, of course, are some concerns with doing the right thing, you know, whatever it is. Like, you know, we have the cop video and this and that, but that's something I don't want to kind of get into right now. That's a whole separate video. So at 6, Jets, Baker Mayfield. So at 7, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going safety Minkah Fitzpatrick, who declared as a safety. Now, Minkah is very versatile, and arguably he's the best defensive player in this draft. And if you're getting him at 7, that's a steal. I know in my last mock I had the Bucs going Minkah as well, but if he falls to 7, the Buccaneers have got to pull the trigger on him. He is a great player. The Buccaneers have their quarterback in place. They could use a running back, but there's not really one worth taking at 7. They have a lot of great players on defense. They have weapons on offense. They could go after an offensive lineman. But I think right now, Minkah Fitzpatrick is the best overall fit for Tampa at 7. So next we have the Chicago Bears trading with the Buffalo Bills. I have the Buffalo Bills moving up in the draft to go up and get quarterback Josh Allen out of Wyoming, a quarterback that I've compared to Cam Newton before in the past. So it could work out. McDermott, with the ties to Carolina, wanting a tall quarterback that can push the ball downfield with a strong arm, who is mobile, durable. You know, I think Josh Allen, I don't necessarily know what Daboll's offensive system, what his new offensive system that he's going to be implementing is going to be, but I know right now they're leaning towards keeping Tyrod Taylor, and this gives Josh Allen the perfect amount of time to sit behind Tyrod, learn, grow physically and mentally, understand the game of football, and he would come in seamlessly, when he's ready to play. So Josh Allen, I have the Buffalo Bills trading up with the Chicago Bears to go up and get their guy of the future. I think he kind of fits the style of quarterback that you need to play in Buffalo, a bigger quarterback that can really rifle the ball. I mean, he is a cannon for an arm. So Josh Allen of Buffalo. fills a need. The Bills have the ammunition to go up and snag him. So, Bills, Allen. Next up, we got the San Francisco 49ers going cornerback Denzel Ward, the best cornerback in this draft. You know, I know there's some debate, Josh Jackson, Denzel Ward, who's it going to be? I like Ward. But then again, I do like physical cornerbacks that, you know, can play bump and run coverage. I think you look at San Francisco, they picked a lot of defensive players in the past few drafts. You know, you look at Eric Armstead, you look at DeForest Buckner, you look at Reuben Foster, you look at Solomon Thomas. You know, those are 4 players with really, really high ceilings for the San Francisco 49ers. Go out and get another defensive piece on the outside of the defense. Denzel Ward comes in and can be the cornerback one that you would hope for. So next, I have the Oakland Raiders going defensive tackle Vita Vea out of Washington. Now, I know the Raiders need a pass rusher, and I really wanted to give them Tremaine Edmunds, my favorite prospect in this draft outside of the quarterback positions. But at the end of the day, I think John Gruden, being that kind of old school, or having that old school mentality, he's going to want the anchor in the middle of that defense. You look at his time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had worn Sapp. You know, the Buccaneers were extremely successful under Gruden. They won a Super Bowl. If you can have a dominant nose guard anchoring this defense, that could pay huge dividends down the stretch. So Vita Vea, a guy who, you know, he kind of got limited at the combine because of his injury, but I think when it's all said and done, you match his tape with his kind of projection of what you'd hope he brings to the table. I think he makes a lot of sense for Oakland at 10. So you look at the Miami Dolphins sitting at 11. You know, the quarterbacks are off the board. I know there's some rumors that they might like a guy. They could trade up. But in this case, I have the best player available falling to Miami, Tremaine Edmunds, outside linebacker out of Virginia Tech. Now, this guy is absolutely dominant, and he's my draft crush. If the Jets were to sign Kirk Cousins, or, you know, worst case scenario, at 6, miss out on every quarterback, I want Edmunds. This guy's going to be 19 on draft day, and he is dominant. He can get after the passer. He can stop the run. His sideline-to-sideline speed is unmatched, and just the potential is just all there. As a coach, you know, you would just dream of having an outside linebacker with the size, the speed, and the youth that Edmunds brings to the table. So in Miami's case, you know, I know they drafted who was it? They drafted a linebacker in the 2nd round last season out of Ohio State. So it could be nice because he got hurt in the preseason, bringing him back with Edmunds. So 2 young linebackers that could be huge for the Dolphins down the stretch. So next I have the Cincinnati Bengals going safety Derwin James out of Florida State. Now, Derwin James, I'm from Florida, and I've watched every Florida State game the past few seasons, and Derwin James is just dominant. He is dominant. He is phenomenal. He hits. He's a ball hawk. I know there's some questions of him, you know, turning with like turnovers because he doesn't really have that many interceptions at the college football level. But that's not why you're going to bring him in. You're going to bring him in to be the enforcer of the defense, to bring attitude to the defense. He flies around the field. He's always around the football. He's extremely smart. He's just a fantastic player. He not only fills a need with the Cincinnati Bengals, but I think he fits the Bengals kind of persona, like the really tough. They're going to come in and hit you right in the mouth. I think Derwin James is a beast. And if the Bengals can pick him up at 12, could be huge. So next up, we have the Washington Redskins going wide receiver Calvin Ridley. Now, I know you haven't really seen Calvin Ridley being mocked to the Redskins, but you just brought Alex Smith in. You know, there's going to be an adjustment period. He has to learn the offense, and quite frankly, the Redskins don't have many offensive weapons at his that can help him out. I know Alex Smith is a great quarterback, and he takes care of the football and he does his thing. But you need to get some wide receivers if you're Washington. You know, you let Garcon walk 2 years ago. You let Deshaun Jackson walk. You brought Terrell Pryor in. It didn't really, he didn't dominate, and it's looking like they're not going to bring him back. So of course you have Jamison Crowder and Ryan Grant, but overall you need a number one wide receiver. Calvin Ridley could come in and fill that role immediately, almost be that versatile player like Tyreek Hill was for Alex Smith back in Kansas City. So I love this pick for the Washington Redskins. So next up I have the Green Bay Packers selecting Josh Jackson, cornerback out of Iowa. Now, this guy is a physical specimen. You know, he can jump, he can run, he can hit, He can pretty much do everything. He flies around the field. He's a turnover machine. The Packers went out and drafted Kevin King last season out of Washington in the second round when they traded back, bottom of the first. They traded high into the second to go out and select King. Now you have two young stud cornerbacks with all the physical traits in the world to build upon. I mean, Green Bay, first thing you think of Green Bay, you think of Favre, Super Bowls, Lombardis, Aaron Rodgers, all that stuff, mystique of Green Bay, legendary Lambeau Field. You don't really think of the defense, other than when they had, Charles Woodson and whatnot. But right now, the Green Bay Packers are in a rare spot that they're never really in, picking kind of high in the draft, because typically, you see them at 19, 20, or in the playoff section of the draft. So Green Bay has a really nice opportunity to get a young stud corner that has so much room to grow. So right now, Jackson makes a lot of sense. Next up, I got the Arizona Cardinals going left tackle Connor Williams. Now, Arizona needs a quarterback, and I really think that they could be a suitor for Foles. I really do believe that. Maybe Case Keenum, Bridgewater. They can maybe make a trade for Deshaun Kaiser, another quarterback that I really like, that I think has a bright future in this league. But right now, at this point in the draft, all four quarterbacks are gone. Do you want to risk and reach on a Lamar Jackson or a Mason Rudolph? I don't know if the new regime wants to do that just yet. Go with a safe player. Go with a player that has a high upside. Connor Williams, he was a top 5 lock if he didn't get hurt this season. So Connor Williams at this spot makes a lot of sense. So next we have the Baltimore Ravens going another running back. We have Darius Geis off the board from LSU. This is definitely the most controversial pick out of this whole mock draft, but in this case, right now, Baltimore needs a running back. They need wide receivers. They might need some help on the offensive line to plug some holes, but right now, Darius Geis fits the system. I think Geis comes in, and I know you can get value with the running back position, 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round. You look at Jordan Howard, Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt, all these guys, you can get value. I understand that. But right now, if you want a bruising back, a power back that can be your lead horse, take the pressure off of Flacco, who's been criticized lately, it's really a great pick. Now, Baltimore, if they didn't go with guys, it's not like it would be a disappointment or I would be shocked or anything like that. But right now, if they went out and they selected Darius, it would be a great pick, in my opinion. So next up, I have the LA Chargers going defensive tackle Daron Payne out of Alabama, another guy that has a huge ceiling. Daron Payne, I think he comes into San Diego, or LA, excuse me, and just dominate. He just anchors the middle of the defensive line. You have Joey Bosa on the outside. You have Melvin Ingram on the outside. 2 dominant pass rushers. Get a guy inside that can stop the run, take on double teams, and free up Bosa, free up Ingram. So Payne, he comes in polished, coming from Saban, coming from Alabama. He has a great work ethic. Get him in the building, Chargers. It would be a great pick. Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks going offensive tackle Mike McGlinchey, left tackle out of Notre Dame. A guy that I think is being... There's a lot of people that don't really like McGlinchey's game, and I do understand it, but I think McGlinchey is a good prospect. I do still think he's a first-round talent. I think he comes in and he starts immediately, maybe not at left tackle, but at right tackle for Seattle. You look at Seattle's offensive line, and it's a train wreck. You've got to protect your franchise quarterback in Russell Wilson. Especially, they don't even have an amazing run game right now. You got to solidify this offensive line. So right now, in the middle of the first round, McGlinchey is there. He's being mocked. There are some mock drafts. There are some people out there that think he has top 10 potential. So right now, I think that would be a great fit for the Seattle Seahawks at this point in the draft. So next up, we have the Dallas Cowboys going linebacker Roquan Smith out of Georgia, a guy that can fill in nicely for Deshaun. Everybody is so quick to look at Sean Lee and say he's injury prone. When he plays, we're amazing. When he doesn't, we're horrible. All this stuff. It's just like the brains of the defense aren't there when Sean Lee doesn't play. Roquan Smith is physical. Roquan Smith is smart. He hustles. He will give Dallas an attitude with that inside linebacker spot. I also think he's versatile enough to play some outside linebackers. So Roquan Smith to the Dallas Cowboys. Maybe a nice replacement for Sean Lee. Not saying this year, not saying that they're going to cut Sean Lee or anything like that, but just down the line, a guy that you can rely on, a guy that can come in and ball from day one. So I think I really like that pick. So next, at pick number 20, we have the Detroit Lions Going defensive end Harold Landry out of Boston College. Now, they just tagged Ziggy Ansah. You would like, in a perfect world, you would like another pass rusher on the other side of him to get after the quarterbacks. Like I said, in this scenario, we have Kirk Cousins going to Minnesota. You got to get after him. You have the best quarterback in the league easily in Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. You got to get after him. You have a mobile, young rookie quarterback in Mitchell Trubisky on Chicago. You got to get after him. So I like the fit with Harold Landry going to Detroit. I think Matt Patricia hired the defensive line coach from Boston College, which is, where Landry played, to be the new defensive coordinator for the Lions. So I think there would be some familiarity with that pick. So I really like it. I just think that Harold Landry can grow and kind of prosper under coaches or in a system that fits his skill set and coaches that he's been around. So that's it right now for the first 20 picks. Stay tuned for part 2. It's coming up right now for the rest of the picks in the first round. Let me know down in the comments section your guys' thoughts on the mock. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go Jets.